Hello everyone, this is me Garima Singh. We will study about sixth chapter, that is secondary activities. Let's start with the chapter manufacturing industries. So secondary activities also known as manufacturing activities. We will discuss what manufacturing industry is and what it comprises of. So manufacturing industries, these are geographically located manufacturing units that transform raw material into finished goods of higher value for sale in local or distant market. For example, entertainment industry. Then, as well as other term industries, comprehensive and also can be used in many secondary activities which are not carried out in factories, but they are secondary activities like entertainment industry, tourism, etc. So there are a characteristic of manufacturing industry. You can identify on the basis of that which is a manufacturing industry, which is tertiary and which is primary. So manufacturing is required specialization of skills. In industry, one task is done repeatedly that gives specialization of doing that task. This involves high cost of manufacturing. On other hand, mass production involves uh, production of larger quantity of standardized part by each worker performing only one task repeatedly. Then you say mechanization. The industry use automated process or machines which does the major production. Then technological innovation, that is here technological innovation. So latest technology is used and constant innovation is done to eliminate waste. Then in organizational uneven geographic organizational structure and stratification, basically there is a proper structure for the goods produced and there is stratification of that also. Here a huge capital is required. Then uneven geographic distribution, so industries are concentrated in regions that are rich in mineral and other resource. These area cover less than 10% of world land areas. Then you have to location of industry is based on various factor like the location of industry at a particular, why is that industry is a particular place, because that is governed by a large number of geographical and non-geographical factors. Industry maximize profit by reducing costs. Thus industries should be located at a point where the production costs are minimum. So while locating a setup industry, businessman has to keep in mind access to market areas that provide large market for finished goods or finished industrial goods, like you've seen in developed areas of Europe, America, Japan, Australia. Then access to source of energy. So industries based on cheap bulk and weight losing materials like steel, sugar are based close to source of raw material. Then access to labor supply. So industries are located where there is availability of skilled labor. Some type of manufacturing units still require skilled labor. Then access to source of energy. Earlier coal was used. Now the main source of energy is hydroelectricity and petroleum. Then access to transportation and communication facilities. So industry are located in places that have efficient transportation facility and communication services for the exchange and management of information. Then as access to agglomeration of economies here of few two or three industry get agglomerate. So agglomeration economies refer to the benefit derived from the linkage that exists between different industry. The small industry or ancillary unit like to operate near leader industry to benefit from nearness to big or basic industry. Than government policy. So industries are classified than where they have to be set up. Government policy basically for the balanced economic development. Government promote various regions by setting up industry in particular link between industrial areas, as well as provide subsidies to the businessmen to set up their industry in hill area or less developed area so that people nearby get employment. Then classification of manufacturing industry. Let's go to the chart that it's more useful. Firstly, it's based on size. That is, along with this chart, I'm gonna tell you, uh, gonna define it as well as give example of it here only. Cottage industry, based on size, cottage industry. So it's the smallest manufacturing unit. Artisan use local raw materials, simple tool, and production is done with the help of family member. For example, you say artifacts, done, mats, baskets, pottery, jewelry, crafts. These include cottage or household industry. Then there is small scale. These type of industry employs semi-skilled labor, operate by power-driven machine, use local raw material and manufacture product in workshop. So it provide employment and raises local purchasing power. India, China, Indonesia, and Brazil have developed labor-intensive small-scale manufacturing unit. Next is large scale. So here mass production take place, involve large market, many raw material, huge energy requirements, specialized worker, advanced technology, and large capital. Then industry based on inputs raw material. First is agro-based industry. This involves processing of raw material from the field and farms into finished products like sugar, fruit juice, beverages, oil, textile. Then food processing. This is a part of agro-based industry and includes process like canning, producing cream, fruit processing, confectionery, dyeing, fermenting, pickling. Then agribusiness, that's include under this only. Let's discuss mineral based industry. So it's divided into two, metallic and non-metallic. Here iron content is fine, here not metallic. So ferrous iron content is there, and in non-ferrous iron content is not there. Here's non-metallic cement and pottery. Then chemical industry. Chemical industry use natural chemical mineral like salt, sulfur, potash, mineral oil, or in petrochemical industry and chemical obtained from wood and coal. Then synthetic fiber and plastic are other example of chemical based. And forest based, so industry that use forest products such as timber, wood, bamboo, grass, slag, etc. come under forest based industry. Then animal based, so industry that use animal products such as leather, wool, and textile, ivory are grouped under animal based. Next, discuss industry based output. So first one is basic and consumer good. Basically these are industry that produce raw material to be used in other industries such as iron and steel. It's used in other industry to make finished goods. So these industries product used as raw material in other industry to make it as a finished product. Then consumer goods. So these are the industry which produce what is consumed by consumer directly such as tea, biscuits, toiletries, etc. Last is the industry based on ownership. Public sector basically government owned and the main motive is public welfare. This by private individual, the main motive is profit maximization here. Both is done profit maximization as well as public welfare. Then footloose industry. Footloose industries are those industry who do not depend on any specific raw material. So they can be located at any place. They largely depend upon component parts, employ small labor force, and produce in small quantity. Next is we just discussed all these. Let's move on to the, yeah, where was that? This traditional large scale industrial region. So traditional large scale industrial region are mostly heavy industries located near coal fields and involved in melting, smelting, heavy engineering, chemical manufacturing, or textile production. Their feature are high employment, high density of high housing but poor services. Next is Ruhr, coalfield, Germany. So this area was a major industrial region due to coal and iron ore deposit. Now a new rural landscape has emerged that focuses on other products like Opel, car assembly plant, new chemical plants, universities, and out-of-town shopping center. Then there is iron and steel. So iron and steel, it is known as basic industry as it's provide raw material or base to other industry. It is also called heavy industry due to its bulky raw material and heavy finished product. This industry are located near the source of raw material, that is iron ore, coal, manganese, limestone, or near ports where it could be early brought up. Then cotton textile is basically divided into three sector: handloom, powerloom, and mill sector. Handloom, powerloom, and mill sector. So it's cotton is divided into three sector. Handloom is basically labor intensive. Powerloom is less labor intensive. Mill sector is highly capital intensive. So in handloom, semi-skilled worker get employment requires small capital involved process like spinning, weaving, and finishing of the fabrics. And powerloom, less labor intensive, more machines has been used. So uses of machine leads to more production. Mill sector is highly capital intensive, require good quality raw cotton produced in bulk. India, China, US, Pakistan, Uzbekistan, Egypt produce more than half of world's raw cotton. Now the cotton textile industry is shifting to less developed country due to labor cost. Last is high technology. Where is that? I think we miss out. High technology industry. So also called as high tech industry, it is highly technical and incorporate advanced scientific and engineering research and development strategy. Robotics, computer aided design and manufacturing, electronics, new chemical and pharmaceutical are example of these industries. The workforce are highly skilled, specialist, professional known as white collar. So they outnumber the production labor that is blue collar. Now we will discuss the question and answer of this chapter. Let's move on. Which one of the following statement is wrong? Just go all through this. Cheap water transport has facilitated. Yes. Then sugar, cotton, textile. No, they are not. So it's wrong. Development of hydroelectricity. But yeah, that's true. Port town India have attracted. Yes. In which one of the following type of economy are the factor of production owned individually? No doubt it's capitalist because their main motive is profit maximization. Which one of the following type of industry produce raw material for that is basic industry, iron and steel? Which one of the following pair is correctly matched? If you don't know the answer of these, just go through this. Iron, steel, Pittsburgh, that is correctly matched. Write a short note on first one is high-tech industry. So this is the latest generation of manufacturing industry. It merged the application of intensive research and development into the manufacturing of product of an advanced scientific and engineering character. Professional, that is white collar worker, make up a large share of the total workforce and outnumber the actual blue collar worker than manufacturing. So manufacturing adds value to natural resource by transforming raw material into finished goods of higher value for sale in local or distant market. It involves full area of production from handicrafts to moulding iron and steel and stamping out plastic toy to assembling delicate computer components or space vehicle. It's all included in manufacturing. Next is footloose. So footloose industry can be located in a wide variety of places. They are not dependent on any specific raw material, weight losing or otherwise. They largely depend on component parts which can be obtained anywhere. Next is third question. You have to differentiate between primary and secondary. In previous lecture you studied about primary, that is fifth chapter, and this chapter is secondary. You have to differentiate. So firstly I'm going to tell you one by one. In primary, those activities which depend directly on nature for extraction of resources, they basically depend on nature. Then secondary, they convert raw material obtained from primary activity into finished goods of higher value. Then primary, it include activity like agriculture, mining, fishing. Secondary, it concerned with manufacturing, processing and construction. Then primary, they are predominant in underdeveloped developing countries. Secondary, they are dominant in developed countries. Then primary, they own low value and some need to be processed by secondary activity for sale in market. Secondary, produce goods of higher value. They are dependent on primary activities for procurement of raw material. Then primary, they form the basis of village economy. Secondary activities along with tertiary, quaternary and quinary activities form the basis of urban center. Next is discuss the major trend of modern industrial activity, especially in the developed countries. So major concentration of modern manufacturing have flourished in few number of places. These cover less than 10% of the world land area. These nations have become the center of economic and political power. However, in terms of total area covered, manufacturing sites are much less. conspicuous and concentrated on much smaller area than that of agriculture due to greater intensity of process. Then following characteristic that we have discussed while I am just telling you the crux of this chapter, the characteristic of modern industry like mechanization, technology innovation, development, then robotics, assembly, computer aided design, electronic control of smelting and refining process, and the constant development of new chemical and pharmaceutical product are notable example. Then high-tech industries and offshoring, agglomeration of economies, all you can put in this question. In the second question, then explain why high-tech industry in many countries are being attracted to the peripheral areas. High technology, or simply high tech, is the latest generation of manufacturing activity. Professional worker make up for a large number of the total workforce. These professional skilled workers are located in urban area, and due to high rent in the central area of the cities, they situate themselves in periphery. The industry is also situated in the periphery because of the low rent and also because of the closeness to the urban center, which provide them with availability of the workers. Neatly spaced, low, modern, disposed office plant, lab buildings, rather than massive assembly structure, factories and storage area mark the high-tech industrial landscape. Then they require large area for massive setup, which due to increased population in major metropolitan cities not available. Hence, they set up near the periphery, near the urban center where adequate space is available. Then last is Africa has immense natural resources, yet it is industrially the most backward continent. Yes, although Africa has natural resource in abundance in terms of its land resources, its forest and water, its mineral and energy, the most important component to transfer these into usable form is the human resource that is not well developed. All the characteristics that mark an industrially developed nation are lacking, like specialization of skill, method of production that in African state have low skilled human capital. Most of the workforce remain to be unskilled. Than Africa, the industry in Africa are generally not connected with other competing industry in the world. Sharing of technology does not take place in greater scale, and therefore innovation, which is the most important for the progress of industry, does not take place. Then organization structure and stratification is not properly done there. Access to market and raw material, then for base it is then it is important that raw material are easily accessible to the factor of production, and the finished goods should find easy access to market. This, however, lack because of lack of good transport network, effective communication facility, and international market that is lack. Then, although Africa is quite populous and blue collar workers are available in plenty, skilled labor is in shortage, which make industry suffer further on managerial and technological front. Then development of modern industry require well transport linkage so that agglomeration economy can be created. Also, it is necessary for development of trading network both at national as well as international level. Africa lack development of adequate network of highways, railways, airways, and linkage. So that all these points you can quote in this question. Fourth point. I'm done with this chapter, so it's complete for my end. While answering those questions, you can add your own point and write them. That's for today. Thank you.